Hello, my little mouths. I will read now for you part 1 of the book Freedom from the Known of Krishnamurti. It is the most amazing philosophical book he was written, and you are warmly invited to join and to listen. Don't forget to put your headphones on, because this is recorded in the best quality with crystal clear sound. Katz. Men's search. The torture mind. The traditional approach. The trap of spectability. The human being and the individual. The battle of existence. The basic nature of man. Responsibility. Truth. Self-transformation. Dissipation of energy. Freedom from authority. Man has throughout the ages been seeking something beyond himself, beyond material welfare, something we call the truth or God or reality. A timeless state, something that cannot be disturbed by circumstances, by throughout or by human corruption. Man has always asked the question, what is all about? Has life any meaning at all? He sees the enormous confusion of life, the brutalities, the revolts, the wars, the endless division of religion, ideology and nationality. And with a sense of deep abiding frustration, he asks, what is on to do? What is the thing we call living? Is there anything beyond it? And not finding the nameless thing of 1,000 names, which he has always sought, he has cultivated faith. Faith in a savior and ideal, and faith invariably breeds violence. In this constant battle, which we call living, we try to set a code of conduct according to the society in which we are brought up. Whether it be a communist society or a so-called free society, we accept the standard of behavior as a part of our tradition, as Hindus, Muslims, or Christians, or whatever we happen to be. We look to someone to tell us what is right or wrong behavior, what is right or wrong thought, and in fulfilling this pattern of conduct, and our thinking become mechanical. our response automatic. We can observe this very easily in ourselves. For centuries we have been spoon-fed by our teachers, by our authorities, by our books, our saints. We say, "Tell me all about it. What lies beyond the hills and the mountains and the earth?" And we are satisfied. We are satisfied with their descriptions, which means that we live on words and our life is shallow and empty. We are second-hand people. We have lived on what we have been told, either guided by our inclinations or tendencies, or compelled to accept by circumstances and environment. We are the result of kinds of influences, and there is nothing new in us. Nothing that we have discovered for ourselves. Nothing original, pristine, clear. Throughout theological history, we have been assured by religious leaders that if we perform certain rituals, repeat certain prayers or mantras, conform to certain patterns, suppress our desires, control all our sounds, sublimate our passion, limit our appetites, and refrain from sexual indulgence, we shall, after sufficient torture of the mind and body, find something beyond this little life. And that is what millions of so-called religious people have done through the ages, either in isolation, going off into the desert or into the mountains, or a cave, or a wandering from village to village with a begging bowl, or in a group joining a monastery, forcing their minds to conform to an established pattern. But a tortured mind, a broken mind, a mind which wants to escape from all turmoil, which has denied the outer world and been made through discipline and conformity. Such a mind, however long it seeks, will find only according to its own distortion. So, to discover whether there actually is or is not something beyond this anxious, guilty, fearful, competitive existence, it seems to me that one must have a completely different approach altogether. The traditional approach is from the periphery inwards, and thought, time, practice, and reaction gratefully come upon that inner flower, that inner beauty and love, in fact to do everything to make oneself narrow, pretty and showy. Peel off little by little. Take time. Tomorrow will do, next life will do, and when at last one comes to the center, one finds there is nothing there, because on minds has been made incredible, dull and intensivity. Having observed this process, one asks oneself, is there not a different approach? Altogether, that is not possible to explode from the center. The world accepts and follows the traditional approach. The primary cause of disorder in ourselves is the seeking of reality promised by another. We mechanically follow somebody who will assure us a comfortable spiritual life. It is a most extraordinary thing that also most of us are obsessed to political tyranny and dictatorship. We inwardly accept the authority, the tyranny of another to twist our minds and our way of life. So if we completely reject, not intellectually but actually, all so-called spiritual authority, all ceremonies, rituals, and dogmas, it means that we stand alone and are already in conflict with society. We cease to be respectable human beings. A respectable human being cannot possibly come near to that infinity reality. You have now started by denying something absolutely false, the traditional approach. But if you deny it as a reaction, you will have created another pattern in which you will trapped. If you tell yourself intellectually that this denial is a very good idea, but do nothing about it, you cannot go any further. If you deny it, however, because you understand the stupidity and immaturity of it, if you react it with tremendous intelligence because you are free and not frightened, you will create a great disturbance in yourself and around you, but you will step out of the trap of respectability. Then you will find that you are no longer seeking. That is the first thing to learn, not to seek. When you seek, you are really only window shopping. The question of whether or not there is a God or truth or reality, or whatever you like to call it, can never be answered by books, by priests, by philosophers or saviors. Nobody and nothing can answer the question but you, yourself, and that is why you must know yourself. Immaturity lies only in total ignorance of self. To understand yourself is the beginning of the wisdom. And what is yourself? What is the individual you? I think there is a difference between the human being and the individual. The individual is a local entity living in a particular country, belonging to a particular culture, particular society, particular religion. The human being is not a local entity. He is everywhere. If the individual merely acts in a particular corner of the vast field of life, then his action is totally unrelated to the whole. So one has to bear in mind that we are talking of the whole, not the part, because in the greater less is, but in the lesser the greater is not. The individual is little conditioned, miserable, frustrated entity, satisfied with his little gods and his little traditions. Whereas a human being is concerned with the total welfare, the total misery, and total confusion of the world. We human beings are what we have been for millions of years. Colossally greedy, envious, aggressive, jealous, anxious, and despairing. With occasional flashes of joy and affection. We are a strange mixture of hate, fear, and gentleness. We are both violence and peace. There has been outward progress from the bullock cart to the jet plane, but psychological, the individual has not changed at all. And the structure of society throughout the world has been created by individuals. The outward social structure is the result of the inward psychological structure of human relationships. For the individual is the result of the total experience, knowledge, and conduct of man. Each one of us is the storehouse of all the past. The individual is the human who is all mankind. The whole history of a man is written in ourselves. To observe what is actually taking place within yourself and outside yourself, in the competitive culture in which you live, with its desires for power, position, prestige, name, success, and all the rest of it. Observe the achievements of which you are so proud. This whole field you call living, in which there is conflict in every form of relationship, breeding, hatred, antagonism, brutality, and endless war. This field, this life, is all we know, and being unable to understand the enormous battle of existence we are naturally afraid of, and we find escape from it in all sorts of subtle ways. And we are frightened, also of the unknown, frightened of the death, frightened of the lies beyond tomorrow. So we are afraid of the known and afraid of the unknown. That is our daily life. And in that, there is no hope. And therefore, every form of philosophy, every form of theology is merely an escape from the actual reality of what it is. All outward forms of change brought about by wars, revolutions, reformations, laws, and ideologies have failed completely to change the basic nature of man and therefore of society. As a human beings living in this monstrous, ugly world, let us work. Let us ask ourselves, can this society based on competition, brutality and fear come to an end? Not as an intellectual conception, not as a hope, but as an actual fact, so that the mind is made fresh, new and innocent, and can bring about a different world altogether. It can only happen, I think, if each one of us recognizes the central fact that we, as individuals, as human beings, in whatever part of the world we happen to live, or whatever culture we happen to belong to, are totally responsible for the whole state of the world. We are each one of us responsible for every war because of the aggressiveness of our own lives, because of our nationalism, our selfishness, our gods, our prejudices, our ideals, all of which divide us. And only when we realize, not intellectually, but actually as we would recognize that we are hungry or in pain, that we and I are responsible for all this existing chaos, for all the misery throughout the entire world, because we have contributed to it in our daily lives and are part of this monstrous society with its wars, divisions, its ugliness, brutality and greed. Only then we act. But when can a human being do? What can you and I do to create a completely different society? We are asking ourselves a very serious questions. Is there anything to be done at all? What can we do? Will somebody tell us? People have told us. The so-called spiritual leaders, who are supposed to understand these things better than we do, have told us by trying to twist and mold us into a new pattern. And that hasn't led us very far. Sophisticated and learned men have told us, and that has led us on further. We have been told that all paths lead to truth. You have your path as a Hindu, and someone else has his path as a Christian, and another as a Muslim. And they all met at some door, which is, when you look at it, so obviously absurd. Truth has no path, and that is beauty of the truth. It is living. A dead thing has the path to it because it is static. But when you see the truth in something living, moving, which has no resting place, which is no temple, mosque or church, which no religion, no teacher, no philosopher, nobody can lead you to, then you will also see that this living thing is what you actually are. Your anger, your brutality, your violence, your despair, the agony and sorrow you live in. And the understanding of all this is the truth. And you can understand it only if you know how to look at those things in your life. And you cannot look through an ideology, through a screen of words, through hopes and fears. In the foreword, they speak about the book as a way of meditation. This book has not so many pages, but every page has so much knowledge inside that it is absolutely worth it to think about and to repeat page after page again to understand what the message could be and to transport it inside your own self and to work and progress on it. If you want any information about Krishnamurti, I just can recommend you to Google and to see even more insights about the person and who is behind all the words who are written down. As a philosopher, this book is absolutely timeless. This is a nice thing on philosophical ideas and thoughts, that they are most not meaningless in the time. I know that this book can trigger you in crazy ways. But here, as ASMR aspect, triggers and tingles are the most common and essential part. So this book is more ASMR as you could believe right now. My name is ASMR Katz, and I warmly welcome you to my YouTube channel. Here is all about triggers and tingles in many different ways. I am a tattooed girl who show you the experience your triggers and tingles through sound. You are free to follow me, to subscribe and to click on the notification bell, because every Wednesday and Sunday I will upload a new clip. A new clip with a new way of keeping your tingles and triggers on track, to lead you through your innerst, to let go or to think, to feel and to enjoy. This is the beauty about ASMR, because it has no rules. Please let me know in the comments if you like this first part of this book already. Freedom from the known, from Krishnamurti. You can be sure that I will read the full book in different parts for you, and you're more than invited to click again and again on the video and listen to the words I speak to you from this book, to understand and to feel what was written down here. And I have even more different videos on my YouTube page you could enjoy, so feel free to click through my full playlist and community.